You know that there are some sources that are really telling me, Beppe, don't say to the on the channel that there is 0.0 possibility for Lukaku to come to Juve. Don't say it. Pay attention. Keep a percentage low, but a percentage that Lukaku Juve, there is a small possibility. I still don't believe in it. I still don't want it. But some people told me, Beppe, don't be categoric in saying it will not happen. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. Never in my life I would have thought that the last 30 seconds of yesterday morning's video would have been so prophetical. Never in my life I would have imagined that the last 30 seconds of yesterday, where I told you, and you just watched it, that the news about Lukaku, we had to pay attention to not describe them as just BS, because something could have been real. Never in my life I would have imagined that so fast they would have become so true. Because yesterday night, between the 14th of July and this morning, the 15th of July, it was the Lukaku night. Lukaku that found an agreement with Juve, while Inter in the meanwhile found an agreement with Chelsea. I will give you all the details in today's video. They will be strong, they will be consistent, because we were able to connect all the dots. Because I told you, if you want to start believing in the news, wait, that all the journalists, that all the papers are speaking about the same. And this is what happened today. Tutto Sport, Corriere dello Sport, Gazzetta dello Sport, Di Marzio, Fabrizio Romano, all of them are saying exactly the same. They are explaining you the story. So I will do a recap and I will give you my opinion about it, even if you could already anticipate it, because yesterday morning I said, at the moment I don't believe it, which now changed, but then I also said that at the moment I don't want Lukaku, which at the moment didn't change. So ragazzi, thank you for all the support that you are continuing doing on the channel with a maximum of like. Easy 500 likes, this is easy now, and for this, thank you. But we have still some difficulties to reach the 600 in the first 24 hours. So if we can do that, that would be just marvelous. So thank you. Continue to subscribe on the channel if you didn't yet, because now we go with the total madness of Lukaku to Juve. So the 3 pages of Italy are reporting exactly, with other words, the same. But they have Lukaku in the title and they have Lukaku in the picture. Tutto Sport, Lukaku, brivido Juve, Lukaku, thrill Juve. Corriere dello Sport is going with another title, Aspetta la Juve, waiting for Juve. Lukaku is waiting for Juve. Credits to Corriere dello Sport that since 7-8 days is continuing to push the name of Lukaku to Juve against all odds, against everyone, against Beppe, that I was initially also mocking them, telling what are you speaking about, thinking about the master plan of Chelsea contacting Corriere dello Sport so that they were putting publicly some pressure on Inter. Well, no, I was wrong. Corriere dello Sport was right with the direttore Zazzaroni. We will go into the details, what are they saying about it. But then also Gazzetta dello Sport that today is a bit more depressive. There is no topless Lukaku, solo l'Inter, voglio solo l'Inter, I want only Inter. Today they are changing the narrative, because today they have put a small Lukaku. He looks so small on the first page of Gazzetta dello Sport, totally dressed, even covering a bit that Inter shirt with Lukaku. What a mess. Lukaku, che pasticcio. So what happened? Let's ask Lukaku personally, because I want to know what are the first initial thoughts, or how Romelu Lukaku, the Belgian player, is explaining the mess to the Inter fans and to the Juve fans. So listen to him for 8 seconds.
You just wake up and then your heart is just pumping. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so those moments are crazy.
Yeah. Those moments are crazy. Total madness of Lukaku. Of course, this is not what he said, because at the moment nobody is able to reach him or his agent. These are words from a net that he did for Calvin Klein years ago. What is the real situation about Lukaku? We don't know. Or at least we don't know his thoughts. Why? Because yesterday Inter found the agreement with Chelsea. But since that they found the agreement for 35 million euro cash at the moment, plus 5 million bonus, the agent totally disappeared. This was the first news from Gazzetta dello Sport publicly that everyone was asking what is happening with Lukaku. At least the Inter fans that were already celebrating agreement between Inter and Chelsea, and then they asked and started to realize that the agent was missing. So what happened in the meanwhile? Well, that not only the agent disappeared, but Inter starting to ask the teammates of Lukaku, can you send him a WhatsApp? Can you try to contact him to see where he is? Maybe the agent is in a fly and he can't answer, maybe because of the thunder in Italy, because yesterday there were some thunders. Well, there is no... The phone is not working. Let's try to contact him. And the thing is that Lukaku is answering to nobody. Not to Inter, the management, not to his teammates from Inter. Attenzione, because that's where Gazzetta dello Sport is starting to ask themselves questions. And in Gazzetta, inside, you see a big title. Lukaku, che fai? Lukaku, what are you doing? Inter-Chelsea, there is an agreement for 40 million euro, 35 plus 5, but Romelu, and the agent are taking time because Juventus is impressing on the player. Fabrizio Romano is going with a really short recap, but clear recap. So, Lukaku deal situation. Inter final bid is 35 plus 5 of add-ons. Inter have still no answer from Lukaku to close the deal, because if he promised loyalty to Inter, if in terms of words and behavior everything was going into the direction I want to go to Inter and to no other team in the world. Remember that documentary where he was speaking in front of the Sky Sport Italia microphone, where he said, me, one day to Milan or to Juve? Never. Well, it changed. Why? Because Juventus have sent also to Chelsea 37.5 cash plus 2.5 of possible add-on. With Chelsea that is saying, I like that. I like the offer of Inter, I like the offer of Juve, but the difference is that Juve also put a condition in that offer. The condition is that only that offer becomes valid if they are able to sell Dusan Vlahovic. We will come back on that. Lukaku spoke to Juventus. Inter is not happy with that situation. So what happened? Just building back the story. The story is that when Juventus was in London, and I'm speaking before Juntoli, Manna, Tognozzi and so on, they spoke with Chelsea management for an interest of Dusan Vlahovic. Chelsea had no intention to give 70-80 million euro to Juventus for Dusan. They wanted to insert some players. I made a video about it. Chalobah, Loftus-Cheek, Pulisic. Juventus, they thought about it. They came back in Italy. But they also received another name in that package of unwanted Chelsea players. When Juntoli was announced, he had some contacts and he wanted to report about that visit. We said no to Pulisic, we said no to Chalobah, we said no to Loftus-Cheek, but there was another player that we also said no. Juntoli asked, but who's that player? And they said, we already said no. Why should we reveal it to you? It's over. We already said no. Juntoli asked again. Apparently, it was Lukaku. Lukaku, where Juventus management said no, but Juntoli said, can you give me a bit more information? And that's where Juntoli personally started to deep dive and to understand what was possible or not. Also contacting some people that are really close to Lukaku, like Antonio Conte from the rumors that I heard. Asking to Antonio Conte, can you please tell me the state of the player? What can we still have from the player that is 30 and is not 23 like Dusan Vlahovic? With, of course, Antonio Conte with fantastic, beautiful reports of the player. Not the stats, because these are already known, but about the player, his behavior, his mentality, what he wants. And only positive thoughts, where Juntoli really said, you know what? He could be an opportunity of Mercato. But of course, only if Dusan Vlahovic is sold. It's not Chelsea that at the moment is on the player, even if they ask, because at the moment there are no real concrete interest. There are two possible ways. Or Chelsea convince themselves that they want to believe in Dusan, and then they give us 25 million euro plus Lukaku for free. Or the other thing that I am explaining you since a few days means Paris Saint-Germain, and pay attention, selling Mbappé to Real Madrid with that money. They make sure that they at least try for Osimhen. Osimhen will say no, because the requests of Napoli are way too high. So it's not Osimhen. It is De Laurentiis that will say no. Their B plan of Paris Saint-Germain, but also an A+ plan from Luis Enrique, is Dusan Vlahovic. Dusan Vlahovic to Paris Saint-Germain with a lot of cash for Juve. Juve saving in terms of plusvalenza because they are happy. They are able to sell him for 70-80 million euro to Paris Saint-Germain. With that money, they go to Chelsea. They pay 37.5 plus 2.5 of add-ons for Lukaku. But at the moment, of course, all these kind of things needs to happen in reality. I believe that if in the last few days I already spoke to you so many times about Paris Saint-Germain and Vlahovic, I believe that the talks already started. And probably the agreement has already been found. Something that at the moment I can't promise you. But these are the feelings. Ragazzi, Gazzetta dello Sport, to show you a bit how much they are annoyed about it, well, they are starting to speak about Il Signor Voltafaccia, the double-faced man. Not yet about Lukaku, but about the agent, Le Dur, of Lukaku. Because they are starting to describe him as someone that is not really someone that you can trust, someone not really reliable, someone that already did these kind of things in the past. When he was at Inter, Lukaku, and from one day to another he promised to Inter to be the king of Milan, but then he decided to go back to Chelsea. So many times, so many stories, Manchester United, and they went in the past to explain that the agent of Lukaku is not really someone that you can rely. The man that is called Voltafaccia. Double face, mamma mia. Just to tell you, the state of Gazzetta dello Sport is totally disaster. Attenzione, we'll continue to speak about Lukaku, of course. Let me know what you think about it, because I will give you my opinion. My opinion is that yesterday I was showing live that in life you always need, before starting to speak, to make this kind of easy lesson. Plus column, minus column. And then you start filling in what are the positives, what are the negatives. At the moment, without telling all of them, for me there are more minus points than plus points. And I can agree that he can be an ideal player for the game of Allegri. I can agree that Lukaku is not the worst player on earth, because still in terms of physicality and so on and so on. I can agree that he will have a fantastic partnership with Paul Pogba. He's great, fantastic friend. I can agree that maybe there are some stories that we don't know, because maybe they already agreed that Antonio Conte could come to Juve in 24-25, or maybe even earlier if Allegri is not doing really well. I don't know all these kind of things, but there are some positives. But at the moment, the negatives are way too much. And the biggest one is that Lukaku is 30. Not that he's the oldest player of the world, but today, if you are giving him 3 or 4 years of contract, you can't sell him anymore. And that's why, if you go towards players like even Jonathan David, that is 55 million euro, it's a player that you can resell. Even if he's doing bad in 1-2 seasons, you can still resell Jonathan David. Lukaku, you can't. It's over. It's money that you are spending, and you know that you will absolutely not recuperate. And that's for me one of the big, huge negative points. Anyway, ragazzi, we will continue to speak about that. For me, again, Lukaku, no. But let's see how it will evolve. On the other side, today is the birthday of Danilo. Happy birthday to Danilo. Danilo, and I will touch really fast on it, is the captain of Juventus. Official captain. It will be officialized in the next few days. But you know the situation about Leonardo Bonucci. Things that are absolutely not changing. If you want to, I already spoke about it in 2 different videos. Go back and watch them. But happy birthday to the captain of Juventus. Now, Leonardo Bonucci, the situation is not changing, but there is another one that could also risk, and it is Alexandro. If there is a possibility to let him go, Juventus has already new ideas. Mavropanos, that we already spoke about, player from Stuttgart, from Germany. But then there is another player, Bella Kotchap. Never heard about him. I have absolutely no idea who is Bella Kotchap, except of the fact that he's coming from Southampton, another team that has been relegated, so it could be a cheap one. But also Juventus is thinking about, if a lot of midfielders are leaving, like a Weston McKennie, like a Arthur, like maybe, who knows, a Paul Pogba for Saudi Arabia, Kessié on loan for Barcelona would be one of the ideas. Today was the first mini game, and you can see the picture reported in video, and you can find it in our Telegram group by Giovanni Albanese. First game with Allegri and Manna on the bench. There was one big absent. I'm not speaking about Bonucci because he's still on holiday. Will come back on Monday. I'm not speaking about Rabiot that arrived this morning in the J Medical for his test, but I'm speaking about Juntoli, and probably because Mercato finally on the 15th of July woke up. Maybe he's already closing the deal for Arthur to Fiorentina, because yesterday Fabrizio Romano was reporting that Fiorentina are closing the deal. The signing of Arthur Melo with Italiano and Fiorentina that really wants the player. Whatever happens with Amrabat, there are now a few days to go to understand if really it's a possibility. The negotiations are advancing. The official bid would be a loan move until June 2024, buy option included, and part of the salary covered by Juventus. Another deal that maybe Juntoli is working in these final hours are the one of Luca Pellegrini. Again, a new loan to Lazio for 8 million this time, not 10 anymore, but 8 million with an option to buy. No, a loan with an option to buy at 8 million euro. Anyway, let's see what will happen for these players. Ragazzi, last video of the day. Last picture of the day, the one of Lukaku topless, because I knew it. Once in my life, I had to do a thumbnail with Lukaku topless, inspiring myself of Corriere dello Sport, Gazzetta dello Sport. I knew it would happen, and it happened. Maximum of comments, grazie ragazzi, forza, Juve.